Welcome everyone to the Ontology Summit 2025. Today is April 16th, 2025, and we are now beginning the fourth and final track in the Ontology Summit. The track is on ontology and data, and our chair of this track is Ravi Sharma, who is now going to take over and give us a presentation. Ravi?
Thank you. Thank you, Ken, for a very short and good introduction. Our track 4 is beginning today, and frankly, it has been summarized in the overview session, so I will not repeat that information. But I welcome all of you, and I thank Ken for giving this summit very good direction so far and hoping for future as well. So, are you able to see my slides?
Yes, it looks good.
Are you okay? If you want me to increase it more, I can do. This is about the best I can do. So, we are going to talk about ontology and data, and we're going to slightly emphasize big data or big data stores and the usual ontology and the usual uh, definition of ontologies, but also this time a little bit of mix of AI in that. And the presentation also uses part of AI and part of uh, ontology and science behind AI works that are getting recognition because of AI. So here we go. This is the outline for the session. Are you able to hear me well, Ken?
Yes, we hear you very well.
Thank you. Um, I am taking this opportunity to air some of the pent up feelings about what we need to do more in ontologies as a excuse because I am the speaker today. So, but the main emphasis is as outlined here on this slide, track 4, where they assigned us for track for the following. The third one I requested them and they allowed us to use. So we'll talk for a few minutes each. I hope I don't exceed 40 minutes total. So we'll have plenty of good exchange among us after that. So what are the differences between mathematics and ontology? We'll talk a little bit about that. Then we'll give examples of 2 or 3 examples of large amounts of data containing ontologies in 3 areas. But prior to that, we will also list most popular and well-known ontologies working in medical and earth sciences fields as well as many other related areas. And this year, meaning 2024, has been very exceptional year because AI has been recognized as a tool or agent for discovering new science, especially in physics and chemistry, and we'll cover that. I will briefly give you some idea of who our next two speakers are, and we are also searching for one more. In case you have suggestions, kindly either put them in chat box or communicate with Ken or me. Thank you. We proceed now with next slide. Let me we do see in knowledge graphs some aspect of types of relationships, but we need to formalize the relationships. After all, ontology is about things and relationships, or beings and relationships. So the entities have been adequately covered through vocabularies, thesauri, terms, and so on, dictionaries, and metadata, data, but the relationships have received not as much emphasis, although there is predicate calculus, predicate this, predicate that. So, my request is that we do weights and strengths and closeness, some kind of like Mahalanobis distance or statistical distance kind of computation, or something so that can be formalized. Now, Catherine and one more professors have been working at George Mason and other places on uncertainty ontologies. And they are akin to what is being used in AI with stochastic or statistical parameters. So we need to handle that. But I just want to emphasize that there is a method of mathematics or logic, which is common logic or first order logic, which expects you to have exact, almost exact um, notation and formalism, while uncertainties are largely statistical, and there is a lot of statistics and physics to deal with that, distributions and supervised and unsupervised learning, etc. We need to emphasize that aspect, and it's coming more in dynamic ontologies. It's my personal orientation, not being a native English speaking person. I do believe that if we could take the metaphors from Italian, German, Russian, Hindi, Sanskrit, Chinese, and other languages, and then make the AI tools learn the nuances of those cultural richnesses that are of interest to us or used to us, then perhaps our ontology products and services will be more enriched. The last part is, of course, OMG has done a lot, and Mike Bennett is with us, who also represents a lot in OMG, and many of you are also involved in various standards. But the process ontologies are needing more attention, and the BPM kind of BPMN kind of association with business process management. With this, I move to the next slide. So my views are now over. And they are my current views. Tomorrow, if I come and change them, well, you must kindly allow that learning is dynamic. And we don't have only very fixed ideas, we are open to change. Now, I learned this through AI tools, etc. I did not have too much time, but I do realize that mathematics is a formal study of logic, and syntactic formats are used. Proof and computation and formal reasoning, axioms, theorems, etc., are very important for mathematics. While for ontology, description of what is the domain area and what are the entities within the domain. Of course, there are cross-domain ontologies, and Barry and others have talked to us about it in this summit, and we are aware of that. But we largely talk of domain-oriented ontologies in practice. Often they are semantic and conceptual. they do represent knowledge either through some kind of graphs and knowledge graphs and images and so on. And they have an underlying metaphysics in some ways. We'll come to that. And the memory goes to thank people like Doug Lennett, who spent decades trying to create categories, micro theories, and so on. So this is one, and Todd and others have much more knowledge of what is the foundation of ontologies, and we have talked about some of it in our other tracks of conceptualization. Thank you. Next slide is here. Well, metaphysics is as old as philosophy and thought, documentation of thought or recording of thought verbally through language or through visuals. So, metaphysics talks about what the world is, how the world is working, what things exist, and so on. And ontology wonders about what entities exist in the world. So, the world is such a thing that matter is governed by physical laws, is the conclusion of the first two paragraphs. It's a metaphysical conclusion because it describes a way that reality is. Laws are properties of reality. And reality is a kind of reality that can have laws. So, for example, there is a physical law of gravity. At low velocities, it's Newton's law. At high speeds and velocities, it is Einstein's theory of relativity, spatial relativity in space-time, and general relativity in multidimensional space. So that is ontological because it is about a proposed entity. One more sentence about metaphysical concepts in Sanskrit. They also pose more questions than they answer, but they do talk of vacuum, non-entities area, entities area, and who and when and how it was created, just as a supplement. Can assign me the task, and I did not know, but I found a very good paper which is referenced in the references, which is C.C. Zhu. That's how I pronounce it. It's a Chinese name, I suppose. And the paper fully discusses the contents of T-box, A-box, and how A-box can be used to create knowledge base, to create ontologies within the contents of ABox, and all of this is happening within the knowledge base. The reasoning is influenced by both the complexity of T-box and scale of ABox. The neural network model training is done using a Chun-Fi reasoner, and it approximately compiles the logic and deduction process of ontology reasoning, which can greatly improve the reasoning speed while ensuring high quality of reasoning. The large-scale ABox can also be seen as a knowledge graph, and deep learning frameworks and computers help in vector computation. The knowledge graph computation method has high efficiency and reasoning speed, and it scales well for the large-scale ABox. The conclusions are that the OWL-DL knowledge base containing large-scale ABox is becoming more and more common. ABox reasoning has gradually become a bottleneck, restricting its further applications. We will have a speaker on 23rd, next week on Wednesday, namely Alyssa Kendall, who is an authority on standards and OWL and ODM and many related OMG standards, and she will probably expand our questions relating to OWL and relationship with ABox and TBox. Little more on metaphysics. I don't know why it got switched. This should have come before the next slide, last slide. So please forgive me for the intermix. Somewhere I wrongly arranged. I think we talked about it already. Sorry, the order was right. I was moving slides wrong. Now, do the ontologies adequately support the reasoning process? So, the ability to enable automatic reasoning and integration across diverse systems makes them valuable tools for many real-world applications. However, their success is context-dependent, and challenges relating to scalability, etc., must be addressed to fully capitalize on their potential. Ontologies can adequately support reasoning, but only when designed with formal rigor. And they are very powerful, as we know, in biomedical informatics, semantic web, AI knowledge bases, etc. Reasoning will continue for a while in a couple of slides. So here comes static modeling, subject to more rigor and adaptability relating to dynamics and uncertainty reasoning. So deterministic reasoning, like OWL, provide clear, reliable outcomes. Here precision is of critical nature. And there are uncertain reasonings for many things in nature, including weather. We have many domains like population, demographics, and so on. We have built-in errors in any measurements of experiments. So here, non-monotonic reasoning is relevant. What are the tools we are using? Mostly OWL, RDF, Sparkle, Protege, and ontology definition meta model, meta object facility of OMG, UML is a language under that, and many others. So many of you are using different tools. I just listed a few. Ontologies with impact making data and domains. So what are the large amounts of instance data in current ontologies? Many of you know more, lot of them. And Alyssa will tell you a little more about SNOMED and other areas relating to pharma and healthcare that she is developing ontologies for next week. but here is a list, and psych does enter there. Here we are not showing explicitly the EOS DIS, but in the next slide we will show, and we have covered it in our 2 year ago Ontology Summit as a special subject of earth sciences in the pandemics and natural disasters that occur in earth sciences area as well, such as earthquakes, floods, fires, and so on. So there are ontologies for each of these. SOMAD is medical, psych. We are really grateful that Doug Leonard spoke to us a couple of years ago before he is no more with us. Yeah, and so on. There was a lot of work done on linked open data. One of the attendees here is Corey, who has worked a lot on that and on model driven architectures, as he spoke to us last week. And schema.org, I have used it in NIEM, the government standard. NIEM is like a refined ontology which DHS and other law and other domains use. FOAF. Dublin Core is also extended to include federal FGDC metadata, which is metadata standards for federal government in US. So NNGO names, we have had a discussion couple of years ago. So we'll briefly give examples of what the extent of data stores is for the three disciplines shown you on this slide. For earth science, for example, we have 120 petabytes of earth science data as of this year. That 1 petabyte, as I mentioned in the last slide, is 1000 terabyte. Now people have drives, physical drives these days, which go into 5, 10 terabyte up to that level, whichever moving, spinning drives, hard disk drives. So terabyte is not hard. It's 1000 gigabyte is a terabyte. So NASA's Earth Science Data Store, primarily located at Goddard, although distributed at Ames, JPL, and other areas for different aspects of Earth sciences. See, Earth includes the atmosphere, ocean, land. Land-related various forms, geology, agriculture, forestry, whatnot. So all of that on earth sciences is currently occupying in NASA data stores about 120 petabytes. And standards were developed by us when I was working on the program called HDF. And the HDF standard is now penetrated many more disciplines other than earth science. For example, it has gone to medical area, medical images. It has gone to particle physics area, and HDF5 and various variants of HDF are evolving for different areas of applications. The geospatial data is rather small, a terabyte or so in one place in USGS, but it can contains topo maps and so on and so forth. Very high resolution, that is small scale, large scale, small scale, large scale maps. Google Earth Engine, which also does a lot of mapping job, thematic mapping, where are power lines, where are pipes, where are other structures, towers, and so on, all those, and roads, so canals, that is 80 petabyte as of today. So coming down now, sorry. Are you able to see my slides full or?
So it looks good.
Thank you. Oops. We are okay? I'm unable to move my video panel. It's okay. So there is no single store like NASA's SDIS or Earth Observation System Data and Information System. That is the full load. And the genomic data is the large component, which is the basic component. And you all remember that the variants of SARS coronavirus 2019 made genetic studies very important, very urgent, and really global collaboration happened. And we got very large data stores, but they are distributed in various archives. And of course, the genome project itself was around 200 terabytes, but uh, if you count all of these things, it is in several petabytes, including what data are stored, but they are distributed globally. Next topic is particle physics. It's the largest, one of the largest data stores is CERN data centers combined together have about 600 petabytes of data storage. This is 3 years of LHC run 3, which generates about, I don't know, lot of data. And it's growing by petabytes every week, I would say. So the plan is that if you combine all infrastructure where particle data are stored, it would exceed about 1500 petabytes. There are some links where, if you are interested, I will be covering some of these areas, but if you are interested, there are better links in this presentation. The presentation will be on the session page shortly. There's some preliminary definitions about particle physics. Baryons are really important in our life. The proton and neutron make the nucleus, but these are also made of hadrons, which include quarks and gluons in various combinations with bosons and fermions. The baryons are fermions. There are a lot of other particles that are also fermions, but they have to have spin half or integral half. The leptons are still a subject of new research in physics. Very strong interest in how the weak interaction interacts with the strong interaction, that is nuclear force, and gravitational interaction, and how the masses are related to neutrino masses of different types of neutrinos. So, the new resonances are therefore interested. They are interesting because they are short-lived, but they do form intermediate aspects of fundamental matter. And Higgs is what made the standard model complete. Although 2004 Nobel Prize went to Frank Wilczek, 2012 Discovery made a Nobel Prize for Higgs, who proposed it in the late 80s, but we measured it, the Higgs particle, at CERN in 2012. The time scales for particles or time scales in general, space and time. Space at the minutest level has been studied by people. People talk of point particles, but do talk of strings or superstrings, with some kind of one dimensional string like extension or two dimensional strings that contain mass. But the time, if you go on dividing time, what happens? Does it get quantized? Does it become discrete? How small can we measure? It will be covered by Terry Bollinger, our speaker in the May 7th session. So that will be covered there. Now, I come to the last part. If it gets little detailed, please forgive me. I took over some, at least minimum part here. Physics Chemistry 2024, first time they received uh, because of AI. The AI researchers received the Physics and Chemistry Nobel. Earlier, only through papers, only through experiments, only through their analysis using math or computation, they got earlier Nobel. But this time, AI helped them. So we'll see more details later. And chemistry helped biology through proteins analysis, proteins modeling, and so on. So the physics was awarded to Hopefield and Hinton. And I tried to reach them to see if any of them would speak to us, but this year they are having too many engagements. Perhaps maybe they will come next year and speak to us. Let us hope. We have significantly advanced the AI mechanism itself through their research, through their artificial neural networks. We'll see what they did. And similarly, Nobel Prize in Chemistry was awarded to Baker, Hassabis, and Jumper, the last two being from the Google uh, spin off or Google, another company of Google in England. And they help us predict protein structures for future biology. Uh, Physics and AI. So, what did John Hopfield do? See, imagine we are all used to seeing potential wells, and we are used to seeing stability at the bottom of the potential well, it be Gaussian or any other shape. So, if you imagine a landscape in which there are multiple valleys and hills, at the bottom of those valleys is where energy is minimized, and that is where they have found storage and retrieval of information of interest in artificial neural network associative memory. So that is where Hopefield has created that. The work of Hinton is using Boltzmann machines, which he himself has co-developed, a stochastic, that is statistical neural network, which laid the groundwork for deep learning. And by enabling networks to learn internal representations of data. So these two works are different, but their combination helped us use AI for discovering physics, not only largely in particle scattering data, but in other related physics as well. Chemistry and AI. I'm already at the 35-minute mark. So I will try to do 5 or 10 more minutes. Baker and Hassabis, a DeepMind, the Google AlphaFold 2 solution, is AI model capable of predicting the three-dimensional structure. And I have seen a lot of videos. I have a lot of information on any of these areas that I have stored on my drive. I have seen and tried to assimilate, but cannot share everything with you in this short period. Maybe next year or in a small mini series later in the year, we will try to cover some more if there is interest. So, these two works by Baker and Hassabis and Jumper will help us in the transformative part in advancing our understanding of biosystems. Last year, if you remember, Venkat Subramaniam spoke to us from Colombia. He came from Purdue to Columbia, and he has developed a lot of so they are people and living animals. So a lot is happening. I'm requesting you to read the last paragraph. Next slide. This is a picture of the chemistry people. I could have given you picture of the physics people as well, but I'm not repeating too many pictures. So here is my reflection. What is happening through AI in physics? Is the reality itself fuzzy? And therefore we are able to understand that reality? Is that what is happening through use of AI in physics and chemistry? Let's ponder over it and think about it. Or does it imply that current physics and math, as we used to do it, we used to use perturbation for little formal mathematical explanation, create a stable point through math, and perturb the system, disturb it, and see its oscillation, expansion, higher order terms, etc., to reach reality or understand reality within boundary limits of our physics model. The model concept has been discussed by John Sowa many, many times. It's foundation of our ontological logical thinking. But the model and reality of real physics, we used to use those techniques and truncate a series. If it gets too wieldy or out of bounds from limits, then we used to truncate a series. Are those things going to disappear with AI? And are we going to live with this kind of new physics? That is something to think about. Also, does it prove that computation is the only way to make progress? So, what happens to our ability to do synthesis? Will we depend only on AI? Or how our synthesis capabilities be used with newer information? And I make one more forecast, in my opinion, and I think many will agree that quantum information will be just like AI. AI is a path breaking area, good for science so far, but we don't know how, like nuclear fusion or fission, whether it will be used for peaceful purposes only. Same thing for AI, we are worried and we hope it will be used for good purpose. But quantum information is also similar powerful area opening. Quantum field theory, quantum physics, we know. But quantum information is qubits and so on, path breaking. Will it be the next area to increase physics and physics knowledge? And will Nobel Prizes be shifting to quantum information researchers in future? That is an open question. Here's a picture of, I like this because kindly look at the cursor. If you can see the cursor or you can see the gentleman standing in the middle bottom of the picture, gives you the scale of the Large Hadron Collider's Atlas detector area in CERN. This is a simulation depiction. It is also reproduced similarly, many similarities before Higgs even was discovered. This is for Higgs, but the discoverer of quarks and gluons and Nobel Prize winner of 2004 is Frank Wilczek again. He used to give talk using Fantastic Realities book with these types of pictures. But it is a some kind of density of events, different kinds of events in Large Hadron Collider. We are now interested in new physics in resonances. The Higgs boson is at top of that discovery, but we have many new things to talk about. People have observed four quarks together, like quark, antiquark, etc. They come in colors, spin, fractional charge, etc. So various combinations of these new resonances are found in scattering data from Large Hadron Colliders. There is discussion about where is this supersymmetry, which is what we think is the next area beyond standard model. So, there are exotic particles that are short lived and they are resonances. Will they play some part like, excuse me, like the short lived isotopes play when we go for any kind of contrast MRI or CT or something? Many times we are given short lived radioisotopes to go through our body. They don't live too long. Similarly, these resonances don't live too long. Will they play a part in medicine or other applications? We don't know. So, more on resonances. Excuse me. So, machine learning is of two types, supervised and unsupervised. In supervised, we give training set, a small sample representing the whole data in typical form, and then we train all other data and classify it based on that training set. In upper unsupervised learning, we allow data to cluster naturally among them. And these have origins in Michigan and Purdue. Michigan was supervised learning. Purdue was unsupervised learning. And both are useful in earth science data and also in high energy, as you can see in LHC data in this paragraph. More on resonances. The two big detectors that are allowing, I would say, 5 or 6 dozen countries, scientists, to collaborate with each other are CMS and Atlas. And there is a new version of that. More on resonances. They are talking of 59 new hadrons. But in one of my recent papers, we have described low-hanging fruit of these exotic fruits, exotic resonances, 72 in number. 59 are just hadrons, but there are other particles as we saw. So, future will do a lot on this, just as we did one boson, two boson production, etc., when we were scattering neutron and proton or neutron and neutron together. So, similarly, a lot is happening with these standard model particles scattering each other at high energy and at
Ravi,
high
Ravi,
energy.
we should open up to discussion. You're
Oh, thank you. I'm at 45 minutes.
40, 47.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
So
let's get
that's
to
it.
discussion.
Well, I will just skip the remaining part of the talk. We have done enough on Large Hadron Colliders. This last slide is references to the works. And the ABox reference is right here. C.C. Zhu in MDPI Mathematics 2023. That is the most important one. And two for our next speakers on the summit page for their session on 23rd and 7th May. And last is again first and last with Ken. And second one already covered partly in today. So this is for you. It's always going to be with you. Now, do you want me to unshare the screen or leave the slides here and ask for questions? I already see Gary's hand up.